أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu and welcome to everyone who's here so far. Alhamdulillah, we are on lesson 8, which means that after today's class we have 4 classes left. And then we will have a final review session, and then we will have our exam the week after the final review session. So I think at least in the next about 2 weeks or so, you'll start getting dates about related to the final. I think right now, the most important thing is to really focus on making sure that you're caught up on quizzes, your midterm, and anything else that you feel you might be missing. And that also, if I've completed all your quizzes in midterm, I would also recommend doing the additional reinforcement quizzes and the Quranic application quizzes, just so you get more exposure to the text, to the concepts, and to review a bit more. All right, Alhamdulillah. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, Bismillah. So as usual, is there anyone who would like to volunteer to break down our short saying for today? I believe this is also a hadith.
Yeah, I'll go.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike.
hmm Uh, Sarahatu
Hmm.
Rahatun. So, El Sarahatu, that
Hmm.
is the mubtada, and it's definite,
Nice.
is the nominal sentence. And then Rahatun, that is the khabar.
Nice.
hmm
Okay.
Um, is that, is there anything else you're looking for?
Just so that's absolutely right. That's our mubtada, that's our khabar. Can you tell me more
Mhm.
about the cases and the signs that we're seeing?
Sure. Um, right. So, Sarahatu, this is a Rafa
Hmm.
case.
Nice.
Um, and the same is true with Rahatun.
Nice. Awesome. All
Yeah.
right. So just for like a brief review on when we're talking about noun, um let's see. Yeah, I guess just when we're talking about nouns. So this is in the world of asma. We'll say nouns and I'll just put asma. Um, we'll just say asma. The things we want to keep in mind. So these are nouns, particularly like as they pertain in a sentence, right? I.e. in a sentence. We are looking for 3 things usually. So when you guys, oops, let's see how we can do this. Nouns in sentence. Let's go here. There are 3 things we're usually looking for. First is its grammatical role, right? So what do we mean by grammatical role? This is when we're saying, is it a mubtada? Is it a khabar, right? So this is mubtada, khabar, maf'ul bihi, right? There's a few more in here, but we've covered a good amount of them. So maf'ul bihi, what do we have? We have a ism majroor, right? We have whether it's an idafa, right? What kind of idafa, right? So on. So that's the first thing we want to keep in mind. So when we have nouns in a sentence, the first thing we're talking about when we talk about the noun is really what is the grammatical role of the noun, right? And so just for those of us that you guys have been here, but we're just going to do like a brief review over how we're kind of approaching all the things that we're seeing now because we're in level 1B. So we have the grammatical role, and that can be anything that we've studied uh, that is a specific grammar rule, right? And I haven't listed all of them here. There are more, but generally we have the mubtada and the khabar. We have the maf'ul bihi, right? If we have a verbal sentence. We have the fa'il if we have a verbal sentence. We have the ism majrur if we have a harf jar that comes with it. Then we have the adafa, but more specifically, it's the mudaf ilayh that we're talking about, right? It's the mudaf ilayh. The second thing then, so once we can identify the grammatical role of a word, the next thing we're really looking at is the sign, or not exactly the sign, but we're really looking for the case, okay? Because the grammatical role has a set case. What does that mean? So the cases, right, there are three. What are our cases? Can someone tell me what the cases are, maybe in the chat, or if you'd like to unmute, since there's only 13 of us here? What are the three cases that we have covered as they pertain to nouns, right? We're talking about nominal cases or nounal cases. Yeah, go ahead, Sajjad. Yes.
It's رفع
Hmm.
النصب انجر.
Nice. Awesome. Exactly. So these are our three cases. What that means is that for every single one of these cases, there are certain grammatical roles that fall under them, right? And so if we were to go here, right, we'll just make another little list. But if we were to go down on our list, well, if we were to move our list and we were to say create a new list, really. If we talk about our first case, right, when we say rafa, right, let's just go over what are all the things we know that are rafa. First is the mubtada, right? Mike identified two for us here. Mubtada, also khabar is rafa. What else do we know that's rafa? There's one more thing that we have covered so far in level one.
The file.
Yeah, good. The fa'il. Yes. Okay, good. Ismiya. Awesome. And my apologies for the transliteration. I'm having, I think the way my Zoom is right now, my pen has just been lagging too much, so I'm just trying to use the typing because it's a little faster. So the mubtada, right? So the mubtada works in the jumla ismiya, right? It's rafa in the jumla ismiya. The khabar is rafa when we have a jumla ismiya, and then we have the fa'il, right? Which is the doer. It's the thing that does a verb. So when we say ja'a zaydun, right? Zaydun is my fa'il. It's marfu', which means it's in the rafa case. And the fa'il is in a jumla fa'liya. It's when we have a jumla fa'liya, which is a verbal sentence, right? So these are the main times that we see the rafa case. We'll just make this capital like this. Then we have what we call the nasb case. And so far, we really only know one thing that's in the nasb case, and we'll learn more in level 3, but for now, it's just this one. Can someone tell me what is the one thing that's in the nasb case always?
Maf'ul bihi.
Yeah, awesome. مفعول به. Excellent. And the maf'ul bihi, right, in English is our direct object, which means it comes with a jumla fa'liya, right? It comes with a jumla fa'liya. That means I have a verb, right? Ra'a, for example, to see. Ra'a Zaydun ar-rajula, right? Zayd saw the man. So my verb is ra'a, it's my fa'il. Zaydun is my fa'il, right? It's rafa, right? It's going to be it's my fa'il here. It's in the rafa case. And as ar-rajula um would be my maf'ul bihi. For some that might want to see that example, we can write it out here. Okay, so we have ra'a. Let's see. Zaydun. Oh, see. Let me convert. We have ra'a. Zaydun. Zaydun ar-rajula, right? Where's ar-rajula, right? So we have ra'a, Zaydun. Apologies for this is being so small. I don't think you can make these bigger with Zoom. So it's a little strange. And that should be a jim, not a kha. Sorry. But we have ra'a, Zaydun ar-rajula, right? Ra'a is my fa'il. Zaydun, right? It's a madi fa'il. Zaydun is my fa'il. It's in the rafa case. It has a dhamma. And ar-rajula is it's my maf'ul bihi. All right, then we have one more case that we'll just put down here for now. This is what we call the jud case. Can someone tell me what are the two things in the jud case that we cover? There are only two things that we know in the jud case, and I believe we've mentioned that there are only ever two things in the jud case.
اسم مجرور.
Good, the ism majrur, that's one of them. And when do we have a ism majrur, Isa?
When we have a, prepositional phrase.
Great. And specifically a harf jar, right? And the harf jar are the prepositional phrases that are particles like bi and fi and ila and ala, right? Awesome. And then what is the second one? Does anyone else remember what the second one is?
مضاف إليه.
Idafa.
Good. Someone's okay. It's not just the idafa, it's specifically the mudaf ilayhi, right? It's specifically the second part of my idafa, the mudaf ilayhi, right? And this is because the second part of the idafa is always jar. The first part of my idafa could be something else. It could be a fa'il, it could be a mubtada, it could be a khabar, right? Depending. And so we'll look at an example of that. For example, we say here, for example, we'll say, let's go back to Arabic. If we take the same example that we had, we have, oops, give me 1 second. Oh, there we go. Let's go back. Okay, try this one more time. Bismillah. So we have ra'a zaydun. So I have the same sentence, right? Ra'a zaydun bay. We have bayta rajuli, right? Rajuli. Okay, so here, it's just, I don't think this will get bigger. No, it won't. All right. So ra'a here is still our fa'al, right? Zaydun is my fa'al. Here now, Bayt al-Rajuli, we know is my full idafa, right? So that means I have two parts in it. I have my mudaf and my mudaf ilayhi. And the mudaf, which is the first part of my idafa, right, takes another role in the sentence depending on whatever is happening, right? So this bayt has a fatha, and so it's got to be my maf'ul bihi. What did Zayd see? He saw the house of the man. And ar-rajuli, which we can't see the kasra, it would there is a kasra there, right? It would be it has a kasra because it is the it's the mudaf ilayhi, right? So that's just to clarify that a little bit for us. But this is really all we're covering whenever we go through our text analysis, when we're going through the Quranic verses, we're really looking for this, right? We're looking for these things, which is the grammatical role of things in a sentence, and we're pairing them with cases, right? And those have already been paired for us. A mubtada is always rafa, a khabar is always rafa, right? A fa'al is always rafa, and so on and so forth. And now this last category that we've also covered in level 1 is what we call the signs. Okay? So every case has specific signs. And those signs that we have default signs, and then we have default signs, okay? And our default signs are specifically, they're like fatha, well, we could say like the dhamma for rafa. So we put dhamma for rafa, right? We'll put kasra, or excuse me, we'll put the fatha for the nasb, and we'll put kasra for the jar, right? Those are our default signs. Can stretch this out. I guess we can't do that now. Okay, so those are our default signs, right? Dhamma is the default sign for the rafa case. The fatha is the default sign for the nasb case, and the kasra is the default sign for the jar case. Okay, the harakat on Zayd saw the house of the man. So here, right, Zayd, it's hard to see, but it's like a double squiggly, and it's actually Zaydun. So it's a dammatain, and that's because Zayd is our fa'il. It comes from here, fa'il, because we have a jumla fa'liya, right? Ra'a is our fa'il. So it starts with a fa'il, right? When a jumla starts with a fa'il, it's fa'liya. Zaydun is my fa'il, right? And remember, the rule for the fa'il is that it will come immediately after, generally, it will come immediately after the fa'il. Sometimes it doesn't, and there are exceptions for that, but generally it'll come immediately after my fa'il. Excuse me, after my fi'il. Then we have beta. Beta is what he saw. It's the object of his seeing. It's the house. So it's my maf'ul bihi. So it's in the nasib case, it takes a fatha. And ar-rajuli, right? Ar-rajuli is going to be in the jar case because it's our mudaf ilayhi. Because on top of beta being a maf'ul bihi, it's also attached, right, with Beit al-rajuli, it's attached with al-rajuli. It gives meaning to al-rajuli. It's the house of the man. It's possessive. And so al-rajuli here will have a kasra because it's our mudaf ilayhi. Okay, so we have these default signs. Now the tricky part are when we have the non-default signs, right? So these are the additional signs. And we're not going to go through all of them in detail, but this is something you might want to double check or go over if you're still struggling with. We have additional signs. And these are when we have, for example, when do we have additional signs? We have additional signs when we have the sound masculine plural, right? Or when we have the sound feminine plural, or when we have the dual, right? Those are the main ones that we've covered so far, right? The sound masculine plural, the sound feminine plural, and the dual. We know, for example, the dual, it takes an alif for the rafat case, right? And it takes a ya for the nasb and jad, right? Nasb and jad cases. Nasb and jad cases. And you'll find similar things, right? The sound feminine plural takes is normal for the rafat case, right? Is dhamma for the rafat case. So we'll just put dhamma for rafat right now. And then it takes, let's move this. Let's see if we can move it down. Here we go. It takes dhamma for the rafat case, and it'll take the uh, kasra, right? It'll take a kasra for the nasb and jar case. These are the ones that you have to pay attention to, right? Nasb and jar cases. And the sound masculine plural takes the wow for the rafat case, and it takes the ya for the nasb and jar, right? So in each of these situations, the nasb and jar case have the same sign, but that doesn't mean they have the same case, right? Does that make sense to us? Okay, so that's about the additional signs. Okay, now I'm bringing this up because this is kind of like what we've been going through in a nutshell, right? In a nutshell, we're really just looking at words in a sentence, right? We're determining what kind of sentence do I have. Is it fa'liya? Is it ismiya? That's my first thing. How do I know which is which? If it's ismiya, it starts with the ism. If it's fa'liya, it starts with a fa'il, right? Unless there's a particle, and then I skip the particle and go to the next word. And then as soon as I figure out what kind of a sentence I have, I then have to look at every word and I have to parse out what's the grammatical role of this word? Well, what's around it? What's the sign, right? I'm going to start asking these types of questions. And I think last week we came up with like a process of elimination, which was that the easiest thing to do when you're looking at a sentence, whether it's a jumla ismiya or a jumla fi'liya, is to really look for anything that might be in the jar case, right? Because these two constructs are really easy to find. The jar majrur construct, which is when you have an ism majrur plus with a harf jar, and the idafa. If you can identify those, you're actually eliminating a good portion of what's in your sentences, right? So I just wanted to give like a brief overview of just what we've been doing. I think it might present a little bit of clarity. I'm wondering if anyone else has any questions on this, like, and maybe we can touch on it next week or if at the end of class if we have time. But the question is, is there anything here that I'm mentioning that still feels like, oh, I'm still kind of confused about this concept, or I just need to review this one again, or could we talk about this one more? You don't have to send it in the group, but you can also send it to me privately, and I'll just keep a mental note of it. Yes, Sajjad, go ahead.
A quick question. Can you give an example of the sound feminine plural with the dhamma, the rough case?
Yeah, yeah. So you could say, for example, it's in Arabic. Okay, you can say al-mu'minat, al-mu'minatu, al-mu'minatu. You'd say mu'alli. Where's my shadda? Mu'allimatun. This is just a simple jumla ismiya. The female believers are teachers. Al-mu'minatu mu'allimatun. Right? And why? They're in the rafat case because it's a mubtada and then also mu'allimat is a khabar. Right?
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Khalid, I'm seeing your question, but when you said, let's see. Idaf, mudaf, and how it's different from mubtada. Okay. All right. So there's another question that says, what's the difference between a idafa and a mubtada and a khabar? Okay. Yes, فعل, فاعل, and مفعول به are verbal sentence. A مفعول به is not required for a verbal sentence. It could be there, it doesn't have to be. But the فعل and the فاعل are always, they're the pillars of the verbal sentence, right? مفعول به is like an extra thing, it's not necessary, but فعل and فاعل are pillars. A مبتدا and خبر are also pillars, right? So when we're thinking about jumla ismiya and jumla fa'liya, each type of sentence has pillars, and the pillars are necessary for us to have a complete sentence. So for example, if I look down here to where I talked about al-mu'minatu mu'allimatun, if I just had al-mu'minatu with a dhamma, it's almost like I have a mubtada without a khabar, right? Both the mubtada is a pillar, and so it's necessary. It's my subject because it's the thing I'm talking about. And mu'allimatun is necessary because it's my khabar. It's the information I'm getting about my subject, right? It's what I'm predicating about the Muslim female believers that they're teachers. So that's the mubtada and khabar. So mubtada and khabar are pillars of a sentence. A mudaf ilayhi does not have to be a pillar. Okay, so a mudaf ilayhi is kind of tricky because it like moves around. Not the mudaf ilayhi specifically, but the idafa. Okay, so the mudaf ilayhi doesn't move around. It's always attached to the mudaf. But the idafa itself, specifically the first part of the idafa, which is the mudaf, right? The mudaf, which is that first part, can move around. How? The mudaf can be a mubtada, it can be a khabar, it could be a fa'al, it could be a maf'ul bihi. It can also be an ism majroor. So this last category, number two, mudaf ilayhi, can fall into any of these other categories. Excuse me. Let me correct myself. Not the mudaf ilayhi. So in this last category, we have an extension. Hopefully my pen will work a little bit better. Okay, so the mudaf ilayhi is a part of the mudaf, right? It's a part of the idafa. I need to be very specific about my terms here because I think this is partially maybe where we're getting confused. So this is a part of the idafa. Oh, I'm in Arabic. Excuse me. So it's a part of the idafa. Okay? It's So the idafa has two parts. Okay? Part one is mudaf. Part two is mudaf ilayhi. Part two, mudaf ilayhi, is in the jar case always. Always jar case. What we're getting maybe a little confused about is part one. So let's talk about the mudaf. The mudaf, okay, which is the first part of idafa, can be anything above except for the mudaf ilayhi, right? It can't be a mudaf ilayhi. It can be anything except a mudaf ilayhi, right? Does that make sense to us so far? So what does that mean? The mudaf can be, we can have a mudaf, and I'll give you some examples of this, okay? That is a mubtada. And if it's a mubtada, then the mudaf is in the rafa case. We can have a mudaf that's a khabar. We can have a mudaf that is a maf'ul bihi, or it could be a fa'il. Okay, we can have a mudaf that is a maf'ul bihi. And we can also have a mudaf that is a what do you call it? An ism majroor. Okay? So the mudaf, which is the first part of the idafa, can be anything except the mudaf ilayhi, because it can't be both of the parts of the idafa. That just wouldn't make sense, right? But it can be any of the other five constructs that we've covered. When it is those five constructs, it's going to be in the cases that match that construct. So when the mudaf is a mubtada or a khabar or a fa'il, the mudaf is in the rafa case, which means it'll take the signs, whether it's a default sign or an additional sign of the rafa case, right? When the mudaf is a maf'ul bihi, it'll be in the nasab case, like we saw here. Ra'a Zaydun bayta rajuli. Bayta is two things. It's our mudaf for our idafa, but it's also a maf'ul bihi, right? And the same thing with the ism majroor. So let's just go over maybe a couple more examples to clarify this, because I think that's also maybe where we're getting a little confused. It's like, well, what's going on with the idafa? It's kind of like this thing that can move, but it's pretty straightforward. Yes, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, so I get what you just said about like one through five there, but what if you have like a chain of EDOFs, right? So like
Yeah.
EDOFs, like so like if you had like um the door of the house of Zaid,
Mm-hmm.
so like how would like you're right, you're saying like the the mudaf can be anything except for the mudaf ilayhi. So when it's chained together,
So that's the exception. Thank you for that. The only exception is when
okay.
we have a chained idafa. In a chained idafa, not the first mudaf, but in the chained idafa, the mudaf and the mudaf ilayhi after the first mudaf is combined. So I'll write the example that you're saying. So you said uh we'll just say I saw the door of the house of Zayd, right? So we'll say baba, bayti, right? That's it. That was a good point. Ar-rajuli. Okay. So for some reason, the kasras just aren't showing up on Zoom. I'm typing them, but they're not coming up. Okay, anyway, let's look at the sentence. Jumla fi'liya. Ra'a is my fi'al. The ta is my fa'al, right? It means I. It's standing for ana, right? Ba is my mudaf. But it's the first mudaf. So when I say the mudaf, I mean the first of the idafa, as in it's really that first word in the idafa, that mudaf. The mudaf that isn't anything else, right? Excuse me, the mudaf that isn't a mudaf ilayhi. Okay, so baba here is not a mudaf ilayhi as well. It's just a mudaf and it's a maf'ul bihi. So it takes a fatha because it's in the nasab case. Or you could say, well, it's in the nasab case, so it must take a fatha, right? There's two ways to look at it. You can either use the sign to help you understand the concept, or you can say, this is the concept and the sign is reflecting it. The second one is a little bit better because the grammatical constructs are really what's understood and the foundation, and the signs are really just there to help us. Like they weren't there in Arabic at the beginning. Anyway, to get back to the bab Beit al-Rajuli, Beiti here is now a mudaf ilayhi. That's really the first thing it is. It's a mudaf ilayhi for bab. So Beiti is a mudaf ilayhi for bab. But when I'm looking at Beiti, not in regards to bab, which is before it, but in regards to ar-rajuli, which is after it, it's a mudaf, right? So for bab, when I'm looking at bab, Beiti is my mudaf ilayhi. But when I'm looking at ar-rajuli, it's my mudaf, and ar-rajuli is my mudaf ilayhi. So in this special situation, and thank you, Mike, for bringing that up, when I have a chained idafa, the parts of the idafa that come after the first mudaf, they come after the first mudaf, take on this dual role, right? So it breaks this exception. It's both a mudaf and a mudaf ilayhi, but it's based off of perspective. It's not just that they exist, it's just like that. It's because I'm looking at it like this, it's this. But when I look at it like this, it's really this, right? Does that make sense? Okay, so we've seen a couple examples where the mudaf is a mubtada, but I can also do it the same way uh with the other cases. Okay, so let's erase this sentence. Let's just look at a couple more sentences and then we'll pause. We'll go ahead and jump to our listening exercise.
Quick question, sorry. So
Yes.
if you were asked what case that Baiti is, you would
Yeah.
say that that Baiti is in the jar case, not in
Yes.
the,
Mhm. But why is it in the Judd case? What's the reason?
because it's the mudaf ilay, but it's
Exactly.
also a mudaf,
It is a
and
mudaf. Yeah.
mudaf can also be jar.
Yeah, mudaf can also be Judd. Yeah. Yeah, and so it's like that weird situation. So like here, it can't a mudaf can be everything except the mudaf ilayhi. This would be qualified, and I'm talking about the first. Oh, I'm still in. Sorry, the first word in any idafa. I'm still in there. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Bismillah. There we go. It's the first word in adaf in a chained idafa, for example, right? In a two-word idafa, it's you're not going to have this problem, right? So we'll just maybe that should be in parentheses. Okay. Can we do parentheses? Hopefully no lag. Okay. All right, we'll just put in parentheses there. Okay, let's just look at a couple more examples where the mudaf is doing something that is not just a maf'ul bihi. So let's look at the mudaf when it's a mubtada. I'll say, we'll just use the same example with bab. Go back to Arabic, excuse me. We have babu ar-rajuli, babu ar-rajuli. Try that. Babu ar-rajuli kabirun. All right, this is the door of the man is big. Or literally, it's the door of the man's house. That's what I mean. But the door of the man is big. As in the man's door, the door of the house, really, right? Bab al Bayt would probably be a better example. But the point is that Bab here is the first word of my sentence. and it's a mubtada because it's a noun, and it's so I have a jumla ismiya, and it's in the rafa case, but it's a part of babu rajuli, the door of the man. So it's a part of an idafa. So that means babu is also a mudaf. Now I could say, let's see. Okay, we could say something like هذا هذا كلب رجلي. This is the dog of the man. Okay, so this is the man's dog. Sorry, it's a very American example. Uh, okay, so here we have هذا كلب رجلي. كلب now is our khabar, right? Because هذا is my mubtada, it's fixed, right? This is the dog of the man. So now kalb is in the rafa case. It's my mubtada, excuse me, it's my khabar, but it's also a mudaf. It doesn't have al and it doesn't have tanween, right? That's my test. I know I can identify a mudaf because it has neither al nor tanween. Okay. Um, Then we could say jara. Jara means to run. Jara yajri. Jara kalbu rajuli. So when I change this, what happens to kalb? What's going on with it? Can someone tell me?
This is a verbal sentence now.
Good. And so what's the role of kalb now?
It's a fa'il.
Exactly. What else is it?
It's also the mubtada.
Okay, now let's try that one more time. Is it a mubtada or is it a mudaf?
So, sorry, I meant mudaf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's what I thought. Awesome. So here, same thing. Now we have a fa'il and it's kalb. We know because it comes after jara, which is a fi'l madi, right? And then kalbu rajuli, it's the idafa I've been using, right? So the dog of the man ran. Okay, we've seen the maf'ul bihi example, and we're just going to look at the ism majrur example, and then we'll pause here, okay? All right. So we're going to stick with the dog. Sorry, I live in Germany now, and then sometimes when you live in a different country, you feel your own nationality even more. So sometimes I feel even more American here. So that's where all the dog examples are coming from, so please forgive me. All right. Okay. Let's go ahead and just stick with this for now. We have jara. Oh, this one will be fun. So now we're going to use two idafas just as a hint. So actually, we'll just add to the sentence we already had so we can save some time. So جرى كلب رجلي إلى okay. Oh, that didn't work out as well. Let's try it here. Let's go إلى. Okay. إلى بيته. So we're just extending the sentence. My apologies for the gap. But we're saying جرى كلب رجلي إلى بيته. Okay, what's happening with بيته? Can someone tell me? Anyone who'd like to just volunteer?
مضاف إليه.
Okay, it's so if I have
Sorry,
mudaf ilayhi,
sorry,
yeah.
اسم مجرور.
Good. What's the ism majrur here?
So illa is the jar and then
It's a harf
baitihi.
jar. Uh-huh.
Yeah, harf jar, and then
Nice.
baitihi is the ism majrur.
Okay, baytihi together. What is that all together? Baytihi. Because remember we have bait and then we have the ha. And what's that ha, if you recall?
Oh, it's a possessive
right?
construct.
Right. It's a possessive contract altogether, right? So the whole thing is an idafa. And then I'm gonna keep working with you to hear if that's okay. What are the two parts to my idafa here?
So the mudaf is bait and
Nice.
the he is the mudaf ilayh.
Good. And so bait is in what case? If it's the mudaf?
If it's the mudaf, it could be in any case, technically.
Right, but because it's after ila, what's its case?
Oh, it should be jar.
Good. And so technically there would be a kasra under the ta, right?
Yes.
We're all imagining it's there, even though my computer's not letting me type kasras. Awesome. So bait, it takes a kasra. Now baitihi, we put a kasra on the ha as well. But what's the he grammatically?
it's an attached pronoun, so
Right.
grammatically it should be who.
Yeah, but for sound pronunciation reasons, right? Because we don't want to say
Right.
beiti hu, it's too much on my mouth. We say beiti he, and it's the mudaf ilayhi, and it's also majrur, right? So in this case here, where we have jara kalbu rajuli ila beitihi, right? I have two idafas, and I can even make it an even longer sentence. I could say, um, I can even I could say something like ra'a zaydun beita rajuli. Uh, you can say like min baytihi, for example. Like ra'a Zaydun bayta rajuli fi baytihi. So Zayd saw the man's house in his own, like in his house, or from his house, literally, right? So from his house, he saw the other man's house, as in he looked out the window maybe and he saw the house. So you can have a bunch of idafas in a sentence, and it can take on all these different roles, and that's totally fine. Right? So the idafa can move around. I can also have multiple. Whereas in a sentence, if I have a fi'al, I have one fa'il, right? I have one mubtada, I have one khabar, right? I can have more than one maf'ul bihi depending, right? So generally with these other constructs, I need a baseline of one. If I have more, it's usually with a wow, right? It's usually gonna have a wow with it, and that wow is kind of helping me have more. Whereas in an idafa, the wow isn't necessary. You can just kind of make idafas anywhere you want as long as the idafa rules are being followed. Does that make sense to everyone? Any other questions? Okay, awesome. Thank you for going through this with me. I hope it kind of helps us solidify what we're doing a little bit. Because sometimes, and it also could be because we went on a long break or whatever it is. But it's nice to kind of have the review. All right.
Just
Hey, so, oh, sorry.
yeah, just real quick.
Yes.
Just FYI, I think on the reason your Kessers aren't showing up, I think if you just make that text box taller, it will then show up.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Oh, I see. Let me see.
It kind of got small
Oh,
again.
yeah, you're right. So the font, I can't make the
Mm.
font bigger. And I don't know if that's just like a Zoom default setting. I haven't figured out how to change it. So if anyone knows how to change Zoom font, that would be great. Yes, Anila, go ahead.
On that last example you gave with the Beiti he,
Hmm.
um, did you said it was in the it had kasra on the ha
Yeah.
because it sounded better instead of Beiti hu, or was it because it's the mudaf ilayhi
Yeah.
um to the bait, and so it's in the jar state
Yeah.
as
That
the
yeah. That's a good clarifying question. So I said it's because of the purpose of pronunciation. And the reason why is because it's an attached pronoun. And attached pronouns, like detached pronouns, they're fixed, right? So it's usually, qamisuhu, right? Qamisahu. It usually has a dhamma. And it usually always will, unless it's in a situation where, like this, where we would have a kasra. That's like I said, it's not because of its being in the Judd case. It's like that because of its for pronunciation.
Okay, but it in this case it is also in the jar case because it's a mudaf ilayhi,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, it so
Okay,
the hat is in the Judd case, but the kasra is not a sign. So remember how we talked about this,
understood. Yeah,
right?
no, got it. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
or
like
sorry, this category. Yeah. Mhm.
so if it was like Beituna, right? Like
Yeah,
our house.
yeah, exactly. Or Beiti ha, or there's just a small category of them that make that shift, and it's usually like the third person ones. So you'd say Beiti hinna, Beiti him, Beiti hima, even the dual, right, in the third person.
So if it was Beiti, it would be if it was Beitina,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Our house,
yeah.
then again, so it's in the jar state, even though it has a kasra on it.
So the noon doesn't have a kasra there. Beitina has a fatha with a alif at the end, right?
I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So Beitina would be the na would be in the jar case,
Hmm.
but it would have a fatha on it.
Yes. It would
Okay.
have a fatha, and it's because none of these signs apply. Because there's another category here, if we had to, just, go into more detail, is there's a category that are where we have, oh, well, there's a third category. It's the fixed words. So we don't see sign, right? That's basically what we're saying. That's like another category that goes underneath the signs. You have default signs, you have additional signs, then you have the ones that you don't see the sign, or you could call them hidden signs, right? The sign is hidden because it's fixed, right? So hidden sign, fixed words because we don't see the sign, right? Yeah. Okay, awesome. Alhamdulillah. All right, so with that, let's go ahead. Okay, alhamdulillah. I hope that clarifies things for many of us, or if there are any other questions related to any of that, feel free to throw them into the WhatsApp group, or if you have more questions, we can try to address them over email, inshallah. All right, so we have our translation, right? As-sarahatu rahatun. Saraha can also mean like clarity, frankness, and so on. Okay. And so this is, in English, it would be translated as honesty is the best policy, right? But it's like saying, sometimes just saying things as they are is or clearly or with plain language is easier. It's more comforting. There's more rest in it because you don't have to like try to parse out what someone's saying because it's so convoluted or whatever it might be. So, and this is actually a proverb. It's not a hadith. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and jump to our listening activity. We're going to skip the main listening. We'll go ahead and just jump into this next one. What I like to do is, so for just sake of time and making sure everyone can catch on a little bit of this, is we'll have people go and give us the breakdown, not give us breakdowns, but give me the blanks, and then tell me just one or two things that immediately jump out at you. So it doesn't have to be everything, but like you're looking at it and like, oh, I definitely could see this. So I'm going to talk about this. And then for the rest of it, I'll go ahead and break it down for us. But what I want us to kind of focus on is really seeing what we're able to naturally point out or we're able to naturally recognize as we're kind of trying to build this faculty. Okay. So I'll go ahead and play this and then we can get into our blanks, inshallah. Should I share the sound? Okay, Bismillah.
اللهم إني أسألك العفو والعافية في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم إني أسألك العفو والعافية في ديني ودنياي وأهلي ومالي. اللهم استر عوراتي وآمن روعاتي واحفظني من بين يدي ومن خلفي وعن يميني وعن شمالي ومن فوقي وأعوذ بك أن أغتال من تحتي.
All right. So I think we started with Mike. So we'll go ahead and take. Hmm. We'll go ahead and take Olive V. Could you give me these first three blanks, please? And then just tell me what do you immediately see?
Yes. اللهم إني أسألك العفو والعافية في الدنيا والآخرة.
Okay. All right.
أسألك
Mhm.
أسألك is a verb with ka being the attached pronoun.
Awesome. Great job. Okay. What kind of verb is as'aluka?
أسألك is present tense,
Awesome. Great. So where's my doer?
first person.
Yeah.
What's the alif? I guess it's the ana. It's the first person.
Yeah, the
أسألك.
the alif is telling me that ana is the hidden fa'il. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we know Allahumma is just a specific dua to Allah. Inni means indeed I, so this is emphasis, right? And then we have what Allah gave us. Afwa is another maf'ul bihi. I'm seeking forgiveness. Wal afiyata, it's another maf'ul bihi. And the waw was what's joining these, right? Then we have fid dunya wal akhirah, jar majroor, right? And these are kind of being followed. That's why they're both in the jar case. We can't see it for dunya because of that alif. It's hiding it from us. A cool note I wanted to point out for afwa and afiyah. This was kind of cool. They have the same root letters, Ain, Fat, and Waw. So you'll find them near each other in the dictionary. Afwa is forgiveness, and Afiyata is well-being. So it's almost like, wow, for those who are seeking forgiveness are in a state of well-being, right? Like their hearts are in a state of well-being. And then similarly, those who are forgiven, right, inshallah, are also in a state of well-being. So it's just a fun little side note if you want to remember uh, those meanings. Alhamdulillah. All right. I think next we have Sajjad. Could you give us the next four blanks, please? And then tell me what immediately stands out to you.
Um, اللهم إني أسألك العفو والعافية في ديني
Hmm.
ودنياي
Hmm.
وأهلي ومالي.
Nice. Awesome.
And the dunyaya is sort of particular because of the it can't be dunyayi, doesn't sound good. It's an attached pronoun to dunya
Hmm.
uh, for the uh, for me.
Good. Awesome. What kind of construct does that make this?
Um, it's an idafa.
Awesome. Yeah. And same with everything around it, right? Dini, ahli, and mali, right? But you picked the hardest one. It was one that looks strange, but it's just because dunya ends in an alif. So this ya has to kind of like figure out how to deal with that. And so it just takes on this fatha, even though it's in the jud case, right? Because it's our, what is it grammatically? The ya?
It's the maful bi.
Yeah, excellent. So sorry. Oh, not exactly. Sorry. Not maf'ul bihi.
Tafilay, tafilay. I
It's our
always
mudaf ilayhi, yeah, so it's in the jud case. Now here's the other thing. All of these mudafs, right? Deen, dunya, ahl, mal. What case are they in?
they will also be in the jar case because of the fee.
Exactly. Good. So what is that grammatically?
Um, so that will be jar majroor. So
Excellent.
the fee is the uh, uh, ism, the harf jar, and then the deen, etc., is the uh, ism harf jar and
Mhm.
ism majroor.
Awesome. There we go. Excellent. So here we go. We have an idafa where the mudaf is in the jud case. Awesome. And then the first part of our dua is exactly the same as what we saw prior to it. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Next, I believe we have Zahira. Could you give us the next three blanks, I believe?
Sure. So it's Allahumma astur awrati wa
Mm-hmm.
amin rawati
Mm-hmm.
wa ahfidni min bayna yadaya wa
Good.
min
Yadayya.
khalfi
Mm-hmm.
يدي ومن خلفي وعن يميني.
Awesome. Okay. So what immediately stands out to you?
So astur, I think, is a command verb.
Yeah, awesome.
Um, and that would be for like since it's a command, it would be directed towards you.
Right. So what's my doer for the command?
Um, it would be anta, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because the command is a little strange. Like whoever you're commanding, that's really the doer because they're the person that's going to do the action, right? Awesome. Okay, excellent. Okay, good. And then we have Allahumma, right? Ustur. And then just as a pronunciation, when we have a command verb, we just kind of, and there's nothing on my alif, I just kind of move from the previous word. So I go Allahumma astur, or I say
Mhm.
wahfadni, or so excuse me, wahfidni. We just kind of like smoothly transition that way. Awesome. So then we have awrati. Awrati. This is actually an idafa, right? So
Right.
awrati here means like imperfections, right? So it's saying cover my imperfections or like my flaws. Wa amin rawati, right? And so it's also so awra means imperfections and flaws. Uh Rawa are your fears. So it's saying like calm my fears. And there's also nadafa, right? And then contextually, I know, even though I can't see the signs, is that awrat, this is my maf'ul bihi, and rawat is also maf'ul bihi. I can't see them because the tas take a kasra, and they are kind of it's because the ya is making the tas take a kasra, but technically, I mean, these are sound feminine plurals. They end in alif ta, so they take a kasra in the nasib case technically. So we're kind of fine here. Wahfidni, excuse me. This ya is my maf'ul bihi, and wahfid is also another command verb. Min baini, this is a chained. Excuse me. Min baini, this is a jar majrur construct. Then baini yadaya is an idafa, three-part idafa. Baini and yaday, and then this ya is like it's coming from yadain. So this is a little tricky, but we'll try to see if we can break it down here. You go ya, dal, ya, nun. It's coming from this plus this ya. So what happens is because I have an adafa and I have this noon of the dual, that noon gets removed because I have it's the sandwich noon rule, right? If I have a dual or a sound masculine plural, that's the mudaf in my idafa. I actually remove that noon, and then I have a ya here, so the two yas get doubled. So I have a ya and a ya, and they take the shadda with a fatha again for the same reason we have dunya ya, is because dunya yi does not sound great. Or excuse me, yaday also doesn't sound too great. So they keep it yaday ya because it's smoother. All right, min khalfi, same, these are the same concepts, right? Jar majrur, and yamini, and we have two adafas. All right. So this part of our dua, right, is saying, and protect me from what is between my hands. And for some reason, I think the translation might be missing this. Wa min khalfi, and from what's behind me, and from what is on the right of me. All right, and let's go ahead.
Question.
Yeah, go
What
ahead.
did you say the T's were in the first two, aurati and
The alif taz here.
or like the are you no, are you saying the T's are maful bihis?
So this is so the alif ta represents the sound feminine plural, right? Awra, awratun, awratun. Rawa, yeah, this would technically be rawatun, rawatun, right? So when we add an alif ta, it's a sound feminine plural. And a sound feminine plural, remember, is the sign for the sound feminine plural is an additional sign, right? It's a special case. So for the nasab and jar cases for the sound feminine plural, we actually have a kasra, right? So even though the ya kind of makes it a kasra, the kasra is already kind of there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Wait, sorry, can you explain the yellow arrow at the top?
Yeah, just saying maf'ul bihi. The yellow arrows are like this is a direct object for ustur. Cover what? My imperfections.
So
And
like
so
the rawat, right? Like the rawat.
yeah, this is originally
It's not the E, right? So it's pointing at
no,
the
no, it's for the ta.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
this is awrat plus a ya, right? Awrat tin technically, right? But because we have a ya, it's an adafa, so it takes a kasra. It's technically definite, right? It takes a kasra and we add the ya to it. Awrati or ti. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And let's go ahead. I think Isa, you're going to finish us off with this last one on this slide.
وعن شمالي ومن فوقي
Right.
وأعوذ بك أن أغتال من تحتي.
Awesome. Okay. So what are you seeing immediately?
It's a continuation of the prepositional phrases
Nice. Awesome. It's a combination of prepositional phrases with
with the idafas.
nice. Awesome. Yeah. So it's the same concepts we've been covering. Awesome. Right.
And then وأعوذ بك
Hmm.
is present tense verb, and then bika is also a uh, prepositional phrase.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, John and Madru, nice. And then N is a special word that comes with a verb. This verb is special. It's a Form 8 verb. We haven't covered it yet. It's also passive, which we haven't covered yet. Okay. Um, and then min tahti is the same construct we've been seeing, right? Jar majrur plus an idafa, right? Okay. Uqtal also means to like seize or to grab something or to snatch it. So it's like saying, uh, and I seek refuge in you from something being like seized from under me or snatched from under me, as in like something happens and I didn't expect it to happen, right? So like it's that's kind of what I think this is trying to explain. Okay, well, an yamini wa min fawqi, that's also just saying and from my left and from below from above me, right? Fawq is going to be above.
Is
Okay, and
Oktala conjugated for ana
it is, yeah, good, that's right. It's yeah. No, hold on.
because of the
Yeah.
un? Does
Yeah,
that
yeah.
change it?
No, you're right. It is. Yes, I just had to think about it. It is the an is only making this take a fatha. Technically it would have a dhamma. So this is
Okay.
technically a mudari' verb. It's just passive.
Okay.
Yeah. So something is passively happening to the doer. Like I'm being seized or something is being like something is being grabbed from me in a sense. Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and finish the rest of this. We'll have different people do a line each, inshallah. Bismillah.
اللهم إني أسألك الثبات في الأمر والعزيمة على الرشد وأسألك موجبات رحمتك وعزائم مغفرتك وأسألك شكر نعمتك وحسن عبادتك وأسألك قلبا سليما ولسانا صادقا وأسألك من خير ما تعلم وأعوذ بك من شر ما تعلم وأستغفرك لما تعلم إنك أنت علام الغيوب.
Awesome. Okay, Anila, would you like to give me the first three blanks on this slide? Let's see, maybe Anila's not there right now. Asma, could you go ahead and give us the first three blanks?
Yeah, اللهم إني أسألك الثبات
Mm-hmm.
في الأمر والعزيمة
Mm-hmm.
على الرشد
Mm-hmm.
وأسألك موجبات.
Awesome. Mujbata rahmatik. Awesome. Okay, what is immediately standing out to you?
So أسألك is فعل مضارع and
Nice.
it has an attached pronoun which is the مفعول به.
Nice.
And الثبات is also the مفعول به.
Nice. Awesome.
And then في الأمر is جار ومجرور.
Nice.
And then على الرشد is also جار ومجرور.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And then the أسألك is doing the same thing again. So فعل مضارع and then the
Nice.
attached
Yep.
مفعول به and then موجبات is also مفعول به.
Okay, good. But what's the sign? What
So
case is this mujibati in?
it's plural,
Mm-hmm.
so
What kind of plural is it?
it's a sound feminine plural.
Right. And
And so
is it? Mhm.
it's the T.
Right. So it's in the nasab case still, right? Because we know it's another maf'ul bihi. It's a second maf'ul bihi. And that's
And
because the verb as'ala can take two maf'ul bihis. And what's the sign here?
so the sign is the T,
It's the
right?
kasra, right? Here it's a kasra.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Awesome.
And
Thank you. Mhm.
Rahmatika is also a maf'ul bihi and an
So
idaf.
here, close. Rahmatika actually is just a part of the larger idafa. Mujibati rahmatik. Yeah.
Oh, so that's all an idaf. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're going to see it continue, the style continue. So it's just asking, right? Indeed, I ask you for like firmness in affairs and like resolve and guidance. And I ask you for mujibat here, it means like causing, like what causes your mercy. Like I'm asking you for what brings your mercy. As in things maybe I could do that could bring mercy. Awesome, thank you. Okay, next we have Iram. Could you give me the next three blanks, please?
Yes, so it's والعزائم
Mm-hmm.
مغفرتك
Mm-hmm.
وأسألك شكر نعمتك
Mm-hmm.
وحسن عبادتك.
Awesome. What are you noticing here?
And it's مغفرتك and نعمتك and عبادتك is are the إضافة.
Good. Okay, good. So you're right, but they're actually longer idafas, and not just maghfiratik, but azaima maghfiratik, wa shukra ni'matik, wa husna ibadatik. They're actually trained idafas. So here, azaima maghfiratik is like the resolutions of your this is kind of a tough to translate a little bit. Like the resolution like upon your forgiveness. Okay, and I seek thankfulness for here, like you're gonna learn later that idafas aren't always technically possessive in meaning. Sometimes they can have other meanings, so that's why I'm using for in the translation. But you can say like thankfulness for your blessings and like perfection uh in worshiping you. Okay. So like the Idafa is even more complicated, but you'll learn more about that in like levels 4 and 5, I believe. But these are Idafas, right? And we can tell from what we can identify from the structure, right? Namely that Azaima and Shukra and Husna, like all of these don't have L and they don't have Tanween, right? So they're in this special situation for us. Okay, so we got two more sentences and we'll take a quick break, inshallah. Okay, we have Fatih. If you're there, could you give me the next three blanks, please?
Yes. Uh, okay. So it's going to be وأسألك قلبا سليما
Uh-huh.
ولسانا صادقا
Hmm.
وأسألك من خير ما تعلم.
Okay, so give me one thing that immediately stands out to you.
Uh, Something that stands out. I'm not sure why, but I always I just saw the tongue, and for some reason I was practicing that a lot before the midterm, so that just stands out, I guess.
Okay, the word. Okay, what construct is lisanan in with sidq sadiqan? What's this construct? Lisanan sadiqan.
That means like a truthful tongue, I think, something like that. So
Right. Hmm. Good.
that would be adjectival.
Yeah, it's a sifa mawsuf. Good. Where's my adjective and where's my thing that's being described? So where's my mawsuf? That's the thing being described, and where's my sifa? Which one's which?
Lisan is mansuf and
Nice.
sadiqan is sifa.
Good. And what would you say about qalban saliman? Do we have a similar construct here, maybe?
Uh, I think so, yeah.
Okay, so
Qalb
what are the parts here?
qalban would be the mansuf, and then saliman would be sifa.
Awesome, great. So here we're asking for a sound heart and a truthful tongue. Excellent. And we have the same things in the verb, right? فعل مضارع and a مفعول به for the kaf, and qalban is our second مفعول به. And lisanan is following too, but it's in this nasab case because it's also مفعول به. Good. واسألك, and then I'll just continue this here, right? Same constructs. أسألك we saw before. Min khayri. So this is a min khayri is a jaru majroor, and then khayri ma ta'lamu. So this is idafas are fun because in this idafa the mudaf is a ma, right? And this is a ma of mawsul. It's a demonstrative pronoun. And so this is technically an idafa. Well, the idafa is technically just this, okay? Maybe that'll help. Khayri ma is like the good of what? And so I'm asking for the good of what you know. The ta'lamu is kind of telling us more about what. It's clarifying the what for us. So this is our like our additional sentence that clarifies the ma. Okay? Because the ma is ambiguous without clarification, so it needs like something connected to it. And it's usually a sentence, right? Awesome. Let's go ahead and finish this off. I think we have let's see. We're back at Mike, I believe. Let's go ahead and have you do these last three. Then we'll go on I think we could do like a 10-minute break, inshallah.
Sir. Uh, وأعوذ بك uh, من شر ما
Mm-hmm.
تعلم
Mm-hmm.
وأستغفرك
Mm-hmm.
لما تعلم إنك أنت علام الغيوب.
Good, Ghuyub. Good. Awesome. Okay, what immediately
Okay.
stands out to you?
I had a feeling you're going to ask that question. Uh, what immediately stands out to me, we have a few idafas here, or we have rights of
Okay.
idafas here.
Yeah, where are they?
Um, right. So we have like um, for whatever. Man.
Okay, so you have min sharri ma. What's happening there?
Right. So min is a harf.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Salary, right, is your mudaf, and then
Good.
ma talamu, uh um
Yeah. So this is similar to what we
you
saw
know
earlier, right? Earlier we
Hmm.
had min khayri ma, and now we have min sharri ma. So like when we have min, right, it's a harf jar, so it's creating a jar majrur construct, right? So sharri is my ism
Right.
majrur. And then sharri
Right.
ma, which I think that's what you're trying to identify, right? Sharri ma, that's my idafa. And then ta'lamu is just a sentence that's clarifying what I mean by ma. So it's asking, I'm seeking forgiveness in you from the evil of what you know, right? Because there are evil things that happen and God knows it's in his knowledge, right? Does that make sense?
Hmm. So what's the Adafa Lehi here?
So the mudaf ilayhi is technically the ma because
I
it's the
see.
second part and it's fixed on a sukoon, so it's in the jar case, but we don't see the sign. It's one of the hidden one. It's the hidden sign.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a tricky
From
one.
what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
so do you want me to just continue with the rest of the sentence?
No, that's okay. We'll just take the one and then I can show you the rest of them. But we have
Okay.
what astaghfiruka. So like because for example, astaghfiruka is a present tense verb, but it's form 10. We'll cover this in level 2 and it's being conjugated for ana. We can tell because this the hamza there. So the ka is also my maf'ul bihi, right? So I seek forgiveness. I seek forgiveness from you, right? Lima for what you know. And so here lima is a jar majrur and ta'lamu again. The ma is in the jar case, right? It's an ism majrur. It's hidden because it's a fixed demonstrative pronoun. And then this ta'lamu is like what's happening in all the other cases where it's like telling us what the nature of the what. It's giving us more information. Innaka has a special jumla that's emphatic. We've covered it kind of in class. We won't go into it right now. And then anta alam al-ghuyub is a general mubtada wa khabar. So we have mubtada is anta and my khabar is alam. And then we also have Alam al-Ghuyub, right? You are the one who really knows the unseen, right? Alam is on an emphatic pattern as well. So you have another idafa here, Alam al-Ghuyubi. So here the mudaf is the khabar, right? All right, alhamdulillah. Any questions before we end here? Okay, awesome. What I'll do is we'll go ahead. We'll take like an 8-minute break if that's okay, so we can come back and go through our Quran surah, and then we will continue with our text analysis. All right, so I will see everyone in about 8 minutes, inshallah, and the timer will come up briefly. All right, inshallah, everyone is back. Let's go ahead and jump into our Quran analysis. We have a short theory reinforcement, which we'll go over in a little bit. Okay, so we have Surah Al-Fil here, and what I like us to do is, as we have been doing, right, this is the skill that we're really honing in on in level 1B, is practicing just breaking down what we're seeing. So we have 5 verses here. There's a typo here, so that is incorrect. But we have 5 verses. We'll take, inshallah, 5 volunteers to kind of take a stab at each verse and just, tell us what you're seeing. You may not get all of it, right? And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is just we haven't covered everything yet that's in the Quran. Or, sometimes we need some hints. All right, so I think we ended with Mike. So let's go ahead and get back into it with Sajjad. Could you get us started, please?
Yeah, it says Alam tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know what alam is.
Okay, well, let's split it into a and lam. They're two separate words, actually. So this is kind of a hint because what there sometimes when we start a sentence with a with the hamza with the alif on it or hal, it's a certain type of question, right? It's like that yes or no question. I don't know if if you recall that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Um,
And then the
so
lam is a negation, actually, which we'll cover in level 2, inshallah.
and tara, um, does it says it's a present tense verb. And
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, so it actually originally, this might look more like the present tense verb for you. Tara, right? Tara, yara. So that probably looks a little bit more familiar. What happens when I add lam at the beginning of a word, specifically with a um present tense verb, it creates a different tense. So this makes it into a negation. It's a negation in the past. Okay, so it turns it into a past negation. And so this is like saying, did you not see? Right? So it's a past negation. And so what
oh,
happens here is in the mudari', this is what we call the jazm case for the mudari' verb, which you'll learn about in level 2. So you don't have to worry about it right now. But one of the things that happens when you have a mudari' verb that has a weak letter, which we know the ya here, the alif maqsoor is a weak letter. When it has lam, it'll fall away because it's weak. And that's just because of how lam works, but also because we have a verb that has a weak letter. Yeah. So, like I said, you're not expected to know all of it, but we want to try to break down what we can. So, go ahead. Good job, and just keep going.
so kaifa. I mean, the fatha on the kaifa. I mean, the only thing that has fatha is supposed to be a maful bihi.
Yeah, and so there's another thing that we'll cover probably in level 3. But kaifa is a special word that means how. And usually, like it's the, I'm sure many of you have heard the question kayfa al-hal, like how is your state? Kaifa is a special word that indicates state, like it's telling us about the state of something. And so it takes on this role called hal that we'll cover in level 3. So again, you don't have to worry about kaifa too much. Yeah.
And fa'ala is a past tense verb
Nice, right?
indicating an action.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Mm-hmm.
And
Means like
then
to do, right? Mm-hmm.
rabbuka is the uh, fa'il. No, the maful bihi.
Okay, let's try that again. Which one makes more
It's the
sense?
fa'il. Rab is the fa'il,
Good.
and ha is the attached pronoun.
Good. So if Rab is the fa'il, where's the sign? What's the sign?
It's the dhamma.
Good. Excellent. Right. So this is us going to grammatical world, fa'il. Case, rafa, sign, dhamma, right? This is a default sign for us. Good. And you said the kaf is the attached pronoun. So if it's an attached pronoun to another noun, what kind of construct do we have?
It's the direct object.
Okay, now let's think about this. It's being attached to Rab, right? Rabbuka.
Your
Like,
Rab.
yeah. So what is that construct?
Rub of you. So that is actually, yeah, that
Hmm.
that I think is an idafa.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Awesome.
So in other words, I forgot that when your attached pronoun is
Yeah.
attached to
So here's the key. When you have an attached pronoun that comes with another noun, right? So it's in a pronoun with a noun, which is technically a pronoun is acting like a noun, right? It's going to be an idafa, right? Because you technically have a ism plus a ism. But if I had a fi'l with a attached pronoun, right? Like
Then it would be a problem.
exactly, then it would be a direct object. Exactly. Awesome.
And bi ashabi is jar majroor.
Nice. And what else?
Uh,
What else with ashab al-fil? Excuse me.
okay. Bi ashabil fil. So um, that people of the elephant. So that's an idafa,
Yeah,
right?
excellent. Yes, excellent. And so my mudaf, the grammatically my mudaf is also it's a mudaf, but what else is it as well?
It's you mean the ashab is the mudaf,
Yeah, exactly. And so it's a mudaf and a ism majdood, right? That's why it has a kasra.
right?
Because we want to highlight the places where the mudaf is acting uh it's acting in another role, right? Which we said happens all the time, except for the situation with a chained idafa for the second, third, and fourth mudafs, right? And then rabbuka, rab is also an idafa. So what else is my mudaf in rabbuka? It's the mudaf, but what else is it as well?
You mean the rub in the
Yeah,
rabbuka?
yep.
Um, it's the is the fa'il.
Yeah, good. So my mudaf is both a mudaf and a fa'il, right?
Yeah.
So you want to just highlight that. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, and then we have our translation. Have you not seen, right? Alam tara, how your Lord here, fa'ala means to do, but in this situation it makes more sense to say dealt with the people of the elephant or literally like the army of the elephant. Okay. Next, let's take
Okay,
I,
I just want to ask a question on that
yeah.
translation.
Hmm.
Like sahab is like, I've always understood that to meant like companion.
Yeah.
Like in here, it's army. Is that just a looser translation?
Um, you know, I don't want to say that it is. Let me look it up quickly because I know what you're saying that you like sahaba, right? That plural with the ta marbuta, that can
Hmm.
mean companions, right? But if you kind of want to look at the word to see what else can come with that word. So sahaba. So sahiba means to become a companion, associate, or friends, right? And then we have what? Sahba, we have friendship, right? As-sahaba literally are the companions of the Prophet, and that's with al. As-sahabi, right, with a ya is like specifically a companion. Let's see. A sahib is just a companion or a comrade, so that's another word in there. It can also be a lord, a commander, a representative, right?
Hmm.
Um, so then we
Are you looking
have
in Hansware right now?
yep, yep. So we have sahiba, a sahiba, excuse me, a female companion. Um, Mashub is to be accompanied by. So the meanings, so it's any type of like companionship, and one in an army is still a type of like company, right?
Hmm.
Literally, an army company, right, is a type of it's a certain group, right? I think in American technical language, like it's a specific like your company is a certain number or a certain group within the larger army, right? So that the meaning is can be used there, and this is in reference to a specific time, right? Which is when there's a king, I believe from Yemen, if I'm not mistaken, that was coming to Mecca to try to actually destroy the Kaaba, right? And so this is what this
Right.
is contextually coming from. Yes, thank you, Khalil. Yeah. And so that's the context for this. And so for the people that heard this for the first time, right? When you say ashab al-fil, that's a very clear understanding of what that means, right?
Got it. All right,
Yeah.
thanks.
Hmm. Because they actually came with elephants, right? That's one of the things. Yes, Fatih. Is there a question?
Um,
Hmm?
I've had my hand up from before, I think.
Oh, okay. All right. And so I think next we have Zahira. Could you give us the next verse?
Sure. Alam yajal qaydahum fi tadlil.
Mm-hmm.
So alam is the same construct as before, so it's the questioning and the negation,
Good, awesome.
and then yajal is a present tense verb,
Mm-hmm.
and then kaidahum uh would be the maf'ul bihi,
Nice.
and kaidahum as a construct would be idafa,
Nice. Yep.
and then fi tadlil would be jar majrur.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. And then we just want to note that also that lam is a negation in the past, and this lam is what's making the mudari' verb take a sukoon, okay? So that's just something to keep in mind. Awesome. Okay, so I was asking like another question. Did he not, and this is referring to Allah, right? Did he not make their plot, right? The plot of theirs, like literally, did he not put it into error, as in he caused it to not do what it had intended, right? Okay, awesome. Thank you, Zahir. I think we are at Isa. Could you give me the next verse, please?
وأرسل عليهم طيرا أبابيل.
Mm-hmm.
So arsala is a past tense verb.
Mm-hmm.
Alayhim is a prepositional phrase. Tayran is the maf'ul bihi for arsala.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then ababil, I'm not sure. I mean, I think it's a ism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is an ism, and this is a tricky one. Uh, like it's kind of like saying that there are birds that like were in a flock. So it's like it's not technically a sifa here, though some commentaries might say that it is, but I don't want to say that exactly. But it's
But
just
it's two
saying, mhm.
nouns, right? So then like what is their
Yeah,
relationship? Because ababil doesn't look like a mudaf ilayh.
right, right. Um, so if it were two nouns and one were describing the other, would we even have an idafa construct?
No, we'd have sifa
Yeah, there we go.
mawsuf. But
Yeah, and
these
so
guys
that's
don't also have gend, so
yeah, well, that's one of the possibilities. So one of the possibilities that they are sifo mausuf, that when we're saying birds that are like flock. So that's one possibility. The reason why ababil doesn't have tanween is because it's a special word like Ibrahim. It falls on the special pattern that's fa'alil, okay, which we'll learn more about at the end of level 2 or level 2A. And it's basically it's a type of word that doesn't take tanween. So it's like it can't take tanween, so it just takes the fatha by itself, and we know it's indefinite because there's no L. That's kind of how it operates. Does that make sense? I hope so.
yeah.
So we'll cover more of these at the end of level 1A or 2A, inshallah. And so for now, we'll just say this one of the interpretations for this is that it is like a sifa. It's acting like a description or a attribute to the birds. All right. I think next we have Anila. Are you here? Let's see. She might. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Could you give
Okay.
us verse 4, please?
ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
What are you seeing?
so sorry, I'll be honest, I've been multitasking a little bit, so bear with me. Um, um,
Okay, what kind of word is tedmi?
is it a fail?
Yeah, it's a fi'l mudari' here. Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
and what's happening with the him?
Yeah, so it's an idafa or no?
So if we have a
No.
verb and then we have an attached pronoun, what kind of construct do we have?
Oh, okay, if it's a verb, so then that's the maf'ul bihi,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Or is it
good.
the fa'il?
It's
Fa'il.
a maf'ul
Hold on.
bihi,
It's a
right? What
maf'ul
would the
bihi.
fa'al of tadmihim be? What would the fa'al of tadmihim be?
Mm, I don't know. I need you to help me here.
Okay, so here it's going to be tadmihim.
Oh,
It's
the. So like
so
the
prefixes can never be they can never be doers, right? So you have to look at the
file has to come
conjugation.
after. the
Yeah,
fi'l.
it has to come after, and if it doesn't, then we have to, it's embedded or it's hidden in the conjugation. So here, tadmihim, you have to think about the melodic conjugations that start with ta, and there are two, right? Usually for enta or hia. And so you have to ask, is this for enta or is this for hia? What we're going to see is that it actually is for hia, and it's referring to the tayd, right? The birds or the
Mm,
flocks of the birds. That's a sound, it's a non-human plural, so it's being treated like the singular feminine here.
perfect. Okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay,
What's
thank
happening
you.
with bihi jawratin?
Uh, B is the harf jar.
Yes, good. And hijaratin, what's happening there? Awesome.
So then that is the uh, hold on. Uh, okay, it's the harf jar. So I know it's in the jar state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's called yeah,
It's a
sorry.
majroor, right? It's a majroor.
Madrud.
Okay,
Okay,
what's
yeah.
happening with the next one? Min sijil.
So same thing, min being the harf jar, and
Mm-hmm.
then sijil then being the ism majrur.
Yeah, awesome. Excellent. Yep, it's the same construct. Nice. Great job. All right. So we have that. So that's why I say it says that pelted because it's referring to the birds, right? All these birds are pelting them with their stones, right? Hijara stones from sijil, which is like a type of baked clay, right? It's like they're like these dry, hard stones. Okay. And I believe for ababil, as I'm seeing in a lot of the commentaries, is understood to be like a very like a it's a type of plural that's like the plural of a plural, which is actually a large plural, which is just referring to there's a lot of birds basically. That's how you'd understand it. There's groups and groups of birds. Um, yeah. So it's a special type of plural on this pattern that has a special like indication. Okay.
What does tarmi look like just normally?
By itself, yeah.
Yeah, by
Yeah,
itself.
that's
Yeah.
a good question because it has a weak letter. So it comes from Rama, Yarmi. So Ted, me. So look like this. And it's tricky because of that, the alif maqsuda, which turns into a ya in the mudari. Yeah. All
The
right. Mhm.
the case of the tarmi,
I'm sorry?
is there a case for just the tarmi, but without the him, right?
It's a verb. So right now we verbs don't have cases, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So right now we've covered that verbs don't have cases. In level two, we'll get into a little bit more detail for that here, but this is a normal mudari verb with the exception that it has a weak vowel, right?
Okay. And then the him is in the nasab case though, right?
Yes, yes. And this is one of those situations where it technically should be tadmihum, but because of that, yeah, it's making the kasra take a the dhamma, what was originally tadmihum, take a kasra because of the pronunciation, right? This is one of those situations. Awesome.
Why is
Yeah.
it Tarmi and not Yarmi?
So like you said, Tlaid are birds, right? And there's a lot of them. So it's a non-human plural. So we are conjugating it for the pronoun hiya. Does that make sense?
But doesn't it mean to send?
No, it means literally it would be she sends, but it's referring to they, which is the birds, and it's to throw, right? Rama yarmi means to throw, right? So it's saying that the birds threw
Oh,
with,
sorry, we're on
yeah,
pelted. Okay,
yeah,
that
yeah,
pelted. Okay, so that
yeah,
verb means pelted.
yeah. Sorry, it also more simply means to throw. Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay. I thought
yeah.
we were still doing sent. Okay.
No, sent is arosala, and it's a form
Okay.
for a verb. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
no problem. Awesome. All right, and so I think Asma, you're next, so you can finish off the surah for us.
Sure. So, Ja'ala is a fail madi.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Um, and then the home is the attached pronoun, so
Mm-hmm.
it's the maf'ul bihi.
Yeah.
And then qarasfin is the ka an attached pronoun, or is this part of the
No,
verb?
the cat is technically it's a harf jar.
Or yeah, sorry, it's a harfja. That's what I meant. And so that's why
Yeah.
asfin is the ism majrur.
Yeah.
And then the asfin and the ma'kulin, they're sifa mawsuf.
Yeah. Awesome. Nice. Okay. So just a couple things I want to clarify. Okay. So ababil, like I said, it means a plural, and it's actually a plural that doesn't have a singular. Okay. It's what we call an ism al-jama, which I think you'll probably learn more about this in levels 5 and 6, most likely. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about it too much now. All right. Awesome. Okay, so what's happening here? فَجَعَلَهُمْ, this fa, right? Or excuse me, the ja'ala is for huwa, right? The fa'il is huwa. So it's going back to Allah. It's referring back to Allah. He made them uh these these leaves of straw, right? That's asfin. And ma'kul is something that's eaten, right? It's the ism fa'il, right? We covered this in level 1, the ism fa'il for akala, right? The thing that's been eaten is ma'kulun, right? So it's asfin ma'kul. They look like these chewed up pieces of straw and hay, really, or like leaves. Okay. Any questions on this? Alhamdulillah.
Just
Okay.
so just I have a quick question. So
Yeah.
just to confirm, right? So lam is a negation for present tense, and la is a negation for past tense.
No, that's not true. So
Okay.
lam is a negation for the present tense that actually
Hmm.
takes the present tense and changes its meaning to become a negation in the past. Now that sounds very confusing, but it's like when I translate alam naj'al, we're saying did he not? And it's in the past. Did he not make them? As in he didn't make them, right? Same with here. Did you not see? Or like you didn't see if I didn't have a question. So the normal negations that we have learned is that with we have la for the mudari. That's what we've learned. La plus mudari and ma plus madi, right? Like ma
Hmm.
darastu, I didn't study, right? Or ما ذهبت, I didn't go. لا أدري, I don't know, right? لا أذهب, I don't go. Or I won't, I don't go as in like I am not going, right? It's in the present.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? So now what we're gonna see in level 2, and this is just like a little hint about what's gonna happen. You're gonna see two different types of
All right.
negation. You're gonna see lem. You're gonna see lem, which is what we've seen here, and then we're also going to see what we call len, okay, which you might have also seen already. That's a lam with a fatha. So you see lam and len. So lam is a negation. You use it with the mudari and it changes the meaning to be a negation in the past. And len changes the meaning of the mudari to be a negation for the future. Like len adhaba, I will not go.
Mm.
Len adrusa, I will not study, as in I'm not doing it in the future. And so what happens when you add these is, as you can already see in the verse, it changes the verb that comes after it slightly. Like, look, it takes a sukoon, right? And we pointed that out. And that sukoon is gonna put the mudari in a special situation. And it'll help us identify what's happening in the sentence, really.
I see.
But we'll learn more about that in level 2. So you don't have to worry about it right now, but for
I see.
just to kind of give you guys a little bit more understanding about what's happening.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah, no
That's helpful.
problem. All right, let's go ahead and jump to our Quran analysis. So we have past tense verbs, right? And this is just like a review of verb conjugations, which I think really should be something that we want to make sure we definitely know by now. So maybe we'll just run through the test, the drill for this really quickly. I want to emphasize why knowing your verb conjugations is super, super, super important, especially before you get to level 2. The main reason is that in level 2, we're going to take all of these that we know here, all these cases, right? Everything we know here, and we're going to multiply the types of conjugations by 10. Okay? So this is one type of verb conjugation, which we're going to eventually call form 1, right? So it's the standard default. But there are 9 in addition to what we have. Uh, so we're not multiplying, we're really adding. So sorry. Goodness. All right. We're really adding 9 to it. Okay. So we've learned one conjugation and we're adding 9 other types of conjugations to what we already learned. Okay, so for example, we're gonna see darasa, we're gonna see darasa. I'm gonna write this somewhere more visible. We'll see darasa. Then we'll see darasa. And then we'll see edrasa, right? And then we'll see tadarrasa. This is just for an example. Tadarrasa. And these are all for huwa, okay? Keep this in mind. These are all for huwa. And then we'll see tadarrasa. And then we'll see uh iddarasa, or we'll see indarasa. And so there's a lot of things that are going to happen to verbs. We're going to see all these different, we call them forms. So you'll learn forms 2 through 10. And so if you don't know these well, and you don't have your default down, and specifically as it pertains to conjugations for the madi and the mudari and the amr, it's really going to slow you down in level 2. So right now we're in the middle or halfway, more than halfway through level 1B. And what we really want to do is make sure we spend that time making sure we know our verb conjugations with the form 1 really well. Because when you get to level 2, it's going to move a little bit faster. It'll move a lot faster than it did in level 1A, definitely. And so we just want to make sure if you don't have your base sound and you don't have a good foundation, it's going to really slow you down in level 2. So I just want to let you guys know that just for now, so that if you're kind of like, oh, my verbs are kind of weak, take the time to practice. And the best way to practice is really to make copies of the Fawakih verb chart and just make them. Or like you can, by at some point you memorize them in your head and you can just kind of write them out as you practice. So you just take a verb and you just practice for all the verb conjugations. You could do it in a list like this, or you could parse it out a little bit more. Whatever works for you. But you really want to make sure that this is something you are comfortable with. You know what the signs are. You know where the attached doers are, where they are. It's going to be super, super important. So I just want to give that heads up now. You have time, but I want to let you all know that now. Um, yeah. 1C actually is not reinforcement like 1B. 1C is more focused on tajweed, and so it's like a tajweed semester. And so I don't think you're going to get as much hands-on review the way you do in 1B. All right, so we just want to make sure we know these right. So darasa, darasa, darasu, right? And we had our hand game that we covered before, right? Which was, right? You have your right hand is for the masculine, your left hand's for the feminine. This means 1, 2, and 3, right? So first, second, not this is for first one person, two people, three or more. Until we go darasa, darasa, darasu, darasat, darasata, darasna. Then we change it for enta. We just we wash our hands and we start over. Darasta, darastuma, darastum, darasti, darastuma, darastunna. And then we go ana, nahnu, right? That's another way you can practice. And you can do that for any of the tenses. All right, so let's go ahead and just do some quick practice. Yeah, exactly. Khalil, that's correct. Okay. I think we ended with uh asma. Is that correct? So let's go ahead and take iram. Could you just give me all the conjugations for fataha, please?
Sure. So it's fataha, fataha,
Mm-hmm.
fatahu,
Good.
fatahat,
Mm-hmm.
fatahata,
Nice.
fatahna,
Nice.
fatahta,
Mm-hmm.
fatahtuma,
Nice.
fatahtum,
Ahsanti. Uh-huh.
fatahti,
Ahsant.
fatahtuma, fatahtunna,
Ahsanti. Nice.
and then fatahtu,
Nice.
fatahna.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That sounded awesome. All right, we have fatah. Can you give me the conjugations in the Maldi for abada?
أبدا
Uh-huh.
أبدا أبدوا
Good.
أبدت
Uh-huh.
أبدتا
Uh-huh.
أبدنا
Nice.
أبد أبدت
Uh-huh.
أبدتما أبدتم
Uh-huh.
أبدتي أبدتما أدبتن
Good. Abadtunna. Ahsant.
أدبت أدبنا.
Okay, now you're just changing your letters around. You're saying adab instead of abad.
Oh yeah. أبدت أبدنا.
Excellent. Awesome. Thank you. All right. And we have, okay, we're back at Mike. Can you give me the conjugations for khalaqa or
Inshallah.
khalaqa? Mhm.
Mhm. خلقا
Nice.
خ- خلقوا
Uh-huh.
خلقت
Good.
خلقتا
Nice.
خلقنا
Good. خلقنا.
خل-
Nice.
خلقتا
Nice.
خلقتما
Nice.
خلقتم
Nice.
خلقتي
Mm-hmm.
خلقتما
Nice.
خلقتن
Nice.
خلق خلقتو
Uh-huh.
خلقنا.
Awesome. Great job. All right. And we have Sajjad. Could you give us the conjugations for kasaba in the Maldi?
Kasaba, kasaba,
Mm-hmm.
kasabu,
Nice.
kasabat,
Mm-hmm.
kasabata, kasabna,
Mm-hmm.
kasabta, kasabtuma, kasabtum,
Mm-hmm.
kasabti, kasabtuma,
Mm-hmm.
kasabtunna,
Nice.
ana kasabtu, nahnu kasabna.
Ahsanta. Awesome. You guys can hear ahsanta, right? That means good job, basically. All right, alhamdulillah, we are at our text analysis. We have just these two slides, so I'd like to see what we can do with it in the time we have remaining, inshallah. So we'll just keep going down our list and I'll parse this up so people can have some opportunities. As I said before, where sentences repeat, we'll probably just, have someone take just the one sentence and then we'll move on. All right, Zahira, I think you are going to get us started. So, like I said, for what I break down, um, go ahead and just show me what you notice. You don't have to give me everything, but whatever stands out to you. Like if you're like, that's it, that's all I know, that's all right. I'll give us the rest of it.
Uh, so وعطش إسماعيل مرأة. So
Hmm.
Atasha, I think, would be a past tense verb.
Nice, awesome.
And the fa'il would be hua.
Nice. Oh, well, let's
Isma
try that again. Let's see what else is in the sentence first.
Ismail would be the
Yeah.
fa'il.
Yeah, nice. What case is it
And
in?
it's in marfu.
Nice. Yeah.
And then mar'atan would be the maf'ul bihi.
Yeah, so maratan isn't exactly maf'ul bihi, but it's something that makes things nasab, and it's because it's giving me how many times. Like Atisha Ibsahil became um thirsty one time. And so when we're indicating how many, when we're answering the question how many, it's actually something else. So we'll learn that in level 3, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome. All right. Next, I think we're at Isa.
وأرادت أمه عن
Mm-hmm.
تزكيته معا.
Mm-hmm.
أرادت is past tense, and
Nice.
the doer is أمه.
Nice.
And then أمه is an idafa, his mother.
Nice.
عن تزكيته,
Mm-hmm.
she wanted to give a drink to him.
Mm-hmm.
So who is the maf'ul bihi?
Nice. What else is
And
maf'ul bihi?
ma'an is the second maf'ul bihi.
Nice.
And then the
Excellent.
an tazkiya is like a construct that we haven't learned, but
Yeah,
that's
and it makes
like
the
adding
teski
a
take.
verb. Yeah.
Nice. And what kind of verb is teski?
Tazki is a present tense verb.
Nice. Mudara. Awesome. Thank you. So the next sentence I'll just take because it's kind of got things in it we haven't covered. So we have ولكن أين الماء? So this is kind of like it's a question, so it's got like an inverted type of grammar, which we won't just go into, but for now we just send the translation as but, right? That's what lakin means. Ain is where? Where is the water? So this is like a mubtada khabar that's flipped because it's a what do you call it? It's a question. So the ma is technically like a mubtada and the aina is kind of like a khabar. We'll just leave it there for now. All right. I think next we have Anila. Could you break down the next sentence? وَمَكَّةُ لَيْسَ فِيهَا بِئْرٌ. Okay, maybe Anila's not there. Let's go ahead. Is Anila there? Okay, let's take Asma.
Okay, so Makatu. So fiha is jar wa majrur.
Yeah.
Um,
Fiha. Yeah, good, you're right. Good. You're going with what you noticed first. Awesome. So look, we have a sentence and it starts with Mecca too. What kind of word is Mecca?
So
اسم
it's an
فعل or
Islam,
حرف?
so
Yeah.
so we have a جملة اسمية.
Yeah, nice.
So
So
then
what?
Mecca is the مبتدأ,
Awesome.
and then is the خبر فيها.
Yeah, so here the khabar is this other sentence. It's actually here. ليس فيها بئر. And that you can have sentences with laysa. It's just saying there wasn't in it or there isn't in it a bi'r. And so a jumla with laysa, this is our khabar. Excuse me, a
And then
jumla with laysa also has a mubtada and a khabar.
what type of word is Laysa? Is that a
Yeah, it's a special word that's a sister of uh wait. It's a special word that has a special construct. So we call it in Arabic like Laysa and her sisters. And it's because Laysa has a mubtada or it has an ism Laysa and a khabar Laysa. So yeah, it's a special word, but it's a negation. It's how you negate a present a nominal sentence. So basically, fiha bi'run, this is a sentence. Like this is a normal nominal sentence, but then when I bring in laysa, it's negating it. Okay? So fiha bi'run, technically bi'run is a mubtada and fiha is like my khabar. But when I say laysa fiha bi'run, bi'run is still like a mubtada, but we call it an ism laysa. And fiha is still a khabar, but we call it the khabar laysa. Okay? Just like inna. So it's something that we'll cover in level 2, inshallah. So you don't have to worry about it too much. It's kind of like similar to how inna works, but it's like the opposite a little bit. Okay.
So I just have a quick question. So is
Yeah.
that why bi'run is in marfu case
Yeah.
or is okay.
Yes, that's
So
absolutely right.
the end of the khabar, even though it's like the three words, that's the reason why.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So same thing with Makkah laysa fiha bihrun. It's the same construct, right? We're gonna see the same thing. Don't worry about it, Asma. Yeah, you by then you should be okay, inshallah. All right. And then okay. وكانت هاجر تطلب الماء. So where are we? I think we are at we took Asma. So let's go ahead and take Iram. Could you tell me what's happening? وكانت هاجر تطلب الماء.
Uh, so kanat is the verb, like
Yeah.
it's the fi'l,
Nice.
and hajar is the file,
Okay, yeah.
and tatlibul ma is the other this is the other verb, like is it madare?
Yeah, good. You're right.
Yes. And ma'a is the maf'ul bihi.
Awesome. Yeah. And so we said that when we have kana with another verb, it's like saying she was doing this continuously, right? So Hajar was looking for water and she kept doing that, right? It was a continuous action in the past. Awesome. Thank you. All right. I think next we have Fatih. Can you tell me what you're seeing in the next sentence? وتجري من الصفا إلى المروة ومن المروة إلى الصفا. What constructs are we seeing? So one construct is repeated 4 times, and then we have really
I'm
2 constructs.
I'm seeing like the harf of jar.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're seeing every single time, right? Except for tajri. What kind of word is tajri?
Tetri, is that? I'm not sure.
Okay, it's going to be a jumla. So it's going to be a fa'al. So we make a jumla fa'liya. It's a fi'l mudari. Right? So it's saying she ran from Safa to Marwa and from Marwa to Safa, right? And this is the source of the that part of the right. Yeah, it's a part of the Hajj of the pilgrimage, right? It's coming from here. I think Tim Winter has a really great explanation for it. Okay. Next, we have Mike. Could you give us the next sentence? وَنَصَرَ اللَّهُ هَاجَرَ وَنَصَرَ إِسْمَاعِيلَ.
Sure. Whereas harf nasara is madi,
Nice.
Allahu, that is the fa'il,
Nice.
and then hajra, I get ism,
Good. It is an ism.
wa mhm, uh, wa harf nasra, that's the same. That's
Yeah.
past tense file,
Nice.
and then Ismail,
Good. Now,
another.
yeah. So Ismaila and Hajara, they're actually both in the nasib case. They're names, And so if they're in the nasab
Um,
case, what would they be grammatically?
مفعول به.
Yeah, excellent. Great. So he's saying Allah gave victory to Hajr and Ismail. Okay, awesome. Thank you. We're gonna just have everyone go once and I'll go ahead and finish this afterwards. Sajjad, could you give us the next sentence? فَخَلَقَ لَهُمَا الْمَاء. Excuse me, مَاءً.
وخلق it's creation.
Yeah,
فخلق لهما ماء.
yeah.
So خلق is I would say it's the direct object.
Okay. خَلَقَ دَرَسَ ذَهَبَ. What kind
Oh
of word
no,
is that?
it's a fair.
Yeah.
It's a
What kind
verb.
of فعل? ماضي مضارع or أمر?
It's ماضي.
Nice. Yes, you're right. Nice.
فخلق لهما um, hmm, لا
Yeah.
rather than be.
It's like saying له, لهم.
For for
Yeah.
for him, for
For the
them.
two, yeah, for the two of them, technically, yeah.
Ma'an, water.
Yeah.
Ma'an. Ma'an is the direct object then.
Nice. And then lahuma is going to be a jar majrur construct.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then I think we are back where we started, which I think was Zahira. So my apologies. I'd like us to keep going, but for the sake of time, I'll just run through these in the next few minutes. Then we have wa kharaja, and we'll just keep it to one color. We'll keep it. We'll just make it brown. Wa kharaja al-ma'u min al-ardi. So the water left the ground, right? So that's past tense. Ma is the fa'il. من الأرض جار ومجرور وشرب إسماعيل وشربت هاجر. So these are just past tense verbs and with doers. وبقي الماء فكان بئر زمزم. And so the water remained, right? So we have a فعل and a فاعل. كان بئر is my فاعل and زمزم is my مفعول به. Technically, kana is a special word though. So the bi'r became, it was zamzam, right? فبارك الله في زمزم. So baraka is a past tense verb. It's a form we'll learn in level 2. Allah is a fa'al في زمزم is the jar majrur. So Allah bless Zamzam. وهذا هي البئر التي يشرب منها الناس في الحج ويأتون بماء زمزم إلى بلادهم. And so this is a mubtada. And then you have a sentence. It's like saying it's that water, it's that well, right? And whole thing is another sentence. So this is, you could say that this is just our, it's a mubtada, and this whole sentence is a khabar, but there's another mubtada and another khabar inside of it. So it's a jumla ismiya that's a khabar for another mubtada. Allati is a sifa for bi'run. So this is the well which yashrubu. And now this sentence is just explaining the demonstrative pronoun. Yashrabu is a fi'l mudari. Minhuma jaru majud. An-nas is my fa'il. Right? The people drink from it. Fi'l hajji is they drink from it, which right, it's a jaru majrur, and wayatuna bima'i, and they return, right, or they yeah, they take this water, right? So they take with the water, with the zamzam water. Um فعل مضارع بماء is a jaru majrur, and ma'i zamzama is a Idafa. It's the water of Zamzam. Zamzam is a special word as well. So in the jar case, it takes a fatha. This is a special word, so just keep it in mind. إلى بلادهم is another Idafa and a jar majrur. And then هل شربت ماء زمزم? Someone's just asking a question. It's a فعل مضارع, or excuse me, فعل ماضي. Have you drunk from the water of Zamzam, right? So this is a Idafa. ماء زمزم. And then ماء is a مفعول به. Okay. And then just give me 1 second, everybody. Okay, so now if we continue, we have chapter 2. Okay, let's see if we can. Okay, so now we're talking about what happens afterwards. وعاد إبراهيم إلى مكة بعد مدة ولقي إسماعيل excuse me ولقي هاجر. Okay, so عاد إبراهيم, this is a جملة. This is a, let's see, a جملة is فعلية, right? عاد is فعل ماضي. Right, Ibrahima is my fa'il. Sorry, for some reason this section of my PowerPoints never annotate properly. Just this top section. Right. So, إلى مكة جار مجرور بعد مدة is a idafa. So Ibrahim returned to Mecca after a time. Mecca is also a special word. That's why in the jar case it takes a fatha. Special situation. ولقي إسماعيل, and he saw, right, the doer for لقي is Ibrahim. He, huwa, it's an embedded huwa. He met Ismaila مفعول به ولقي حاجرة and he also saw Hajar, right? وفرح إبراهيم, so فعل ماضي, Ibrahim is a فاعل again, بولده إسماعيل, with his child, right? جار ومجرور and إضافة, with his son Ismail. Ismail is kind of like a sifa for walad, but it's a little bit more technical than that, but we won't discuss now. وكان إسماعيل ولدا صغيرا. So Ismail, this is our fa'il for kana. ولدا is like our مفعول به, and صغيرا is our sifa for ولدا. So Ismail was a young, like a young child. يجري ويلعب ويخرج مع والده. He used to run في المضارع, and he used to play في المضارع, and we used to like leave with his father, like he'd like leave the house, right? مع والده is actually in a three-part إضافة. But it's because ma is a dharf. It's an adjective, excuse me, it's an adverb of place, like with. It means with, right? With his father. And then we have وكان إبراهيم يحب, right? So we have فاعل. يحب إسماعيل, يحب is فعل مضارع, إسماعيل is a مفعول به, and جدا is something we'll cover in level 3. It's just emphatic and saying Ibrahim loved Ismail a lot. Yes, Zahida, quick question.
Yes, I have a question about when it says Walakia Ismail, how are we supposed to know that the hua is the fa'il and not Ismail?
That's a good question. What's the ending on Ismail? Oops, let me go back, sorry.
Oh, it's a
Let me go
it's
back.
Rafa.
Let me see.
I'm sorry, it's a nasab.
So that's the giveaway. If it
Okay,
was,
so-
if
okay,
Ismail
that
was
makes
the
sense.
doer, it would be a dhamma.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, awesome. That's a good question because it's clarifying, it's helpful. So وَذَاتَ لَيْلَةٍ, this is an idafa that means like one night. رأى Ibrahim, right? Past tense رأى. Ibrahim is fa'il. في المنام, in a dream, right? جار ومجرور. أنه, so أنه we're just going to ignore for now. It just means that he. يذبح, that he slaughtered, فعل مضارع. إسماعيل مفعول به. وكان إبراهيم, this is our فاعل for كان. نبيا, right? مفعول به. صادقا صفة. And Ibrahim was like a true prophet. وكان منامه مناما صادقا, right? And so manam is our فاعل here for كان. منامه is an إضافة, and then مناما is a مفعول به, and صادقا just like a صفة. And it's saying his dream was a true dream. وكان إبراهيم, the same thing, right? كان, yeah, فاعل, and then مفعول به. Ibrahim was a friend of Allah. فأراد, right? أراد is a past tense verb. أن يفعل, this is a فعل مضارع. أن is something else that changes the مضارع a little bit, like لن. So he wanted, sorry, فأراد أن يفعل ما أمره. So this is ما is a مفعول به here. أمره is a فعل ماضي, and the who is a مفعول به. So this is like a sentence that's clarifying ما, right? We talked about this a little bit. Allah is my fa'il. في المنام is the jar majrur. So if we translate this, it would be, so he wanted to do, right? Ibrahim, that's contextually, I know it's Ibrahim because it was just talking about Ibrahim previously. Ibrahim was a friend of Allah. So, like for that reason, he wanted to do what Allah commanded him in his dream, right? Or in the dream, which is the dream that he saw. All right, Alhamdulillah. Any questions on this? Any leftover questions? Okay, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and share the quiz. Let's see. Let me go ahead and share the quiz link, and what we can do is, for those that are ready for the quiz, please feel free to take it. I think some people are taking their quizzes early. That's awesome. Keep it up. It might just help you get it out of the way. But there you go. That's the link for the quiz. And inshallah, I'll see you all here for lesson 9, inshallah, next week. For some reason, my link is not copying, so give me one more moment to try to get this in here. Okay, should be good. Bismillah. Try one more time. Okay, we're good. So that's the link. You guys also have access to it in Kejabi. My apologies for the slight delay today. But I think that is it. If you have any questions on what we did in the beginning of class, that's really the heart of what we're really reinforcing this semester. So if you have questions on it, send me an email, or if you're just really struggling with certain aspects of it, just send me an email, and it's helpful for me to understand what people are struggling with so that we can maybe spend some extra time in class talking about it, and definitely spend time in our review session going over it. So I hope things are a little bit more clear. Just keep going as you are. I think people are generally doing very well. But keep attending class, and if you can, try to participate, because sometimes it's just a matter of thinking out loud, or, just spending some of that time with your peers working through it. But Jazakallah khair, everyone. I appreciate your time. And may Allah give you all benefit in your Arabic studies. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Walaikum salam.
So